Okay, so I think we'll kick it off, Vanessa.
Yes.
Welcome to our DYCE Espresso IT Business Toolkit and Microsoft Subscription Billing, a perfect match. So, yeah, thanks that we could postpone this DYCE Espresso from last week. Really happy that we can host it today. So your today's speaker, I think you can jump to the next slide, Vanessa. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Anna. I'm responsible for the partner management at Singhammer. I've joined Singhammer last year, and I'm responsible for new partners, but also for partner enablement and partner marketing. And I also want to present Vanessa. She's our BC and DYCE consultant. Has been working for Singhammer now for 6 years, and is also our subscription billing, or one of our subscription billing experts, so to say. So Vanessa, our today's DYCE Espresso, it's called IT Business Toolkit and Microsoft Subscription Billing, a perfect match. So could you please explain us why do you think it's a perfect match? Why do you think they work perfectly fine together?
Yes, thank you so much for the introduction. And I hope I can answer this question today while everyone is drinking their espresso or cappuccino or whatever you like to drink in the morning. Why are we here today, or why do we think these two apps, the Microsoft Standard and our DYCE app, is the perfect match? Maybe to understand or start into this topic, we need to have a little bit of history. So both of these modules, both of these functionalities, I would say, share the same DYCE DNA, because last year, more or less a year ago, our original DYCE subscription billing app and our DYCE usage billing app was acquired by Microsoft and then introduced as part of Business Central Standard. So part of the standard, anyone can use it, any Business Central customer can use it. But of course, since we developed it, we know it really, really well. And we know the logic that it has and all the features since we designed it. But of course, it was also designed with other DYCE apps in mind. So we always intended other functionality that we have, other apps and modules that we have, like the IT Business Toolkit, which we're talking about today, but also other apps, prepaid services, and so on, to work together with the subscription billing functionality. So of course, even now, where subscription billing is part of the Microsoft standard, we still want to have our DYCE apps connected to it and work with it seamlessly. So this is the other side of the story. The DYCE IT Business Toolkit, which was also one of the first apps we developed. It's kind of the core functionality where we say this is something that all of our customers need, like reporting, documents, and just lots and lots of usability features. So this was also one of the beginning DYCE apps that we started with. It is our most horizontal app. What does this mean? It means that although it's called IT Business Toolkit, maybe this will change, it's really not just for IT businesses, because it's really helper functions and usability, just making things work more smoothly in Business Central. So it can be used across also other industries. And as I said, it's the best buddy for Microsoft subscription billing, because they work together, worked on the compatibility between all our apps. And this is what I'm going to show you today. When we look at subscription billing and Microsoft Standard, there are a couple of typical challenges that we have, not even that much related to Microsoft Business Central and the standard, but just also kind of in general, if you think about subscription billing, no matter which tool you use, basically. First one, typically you need to work with a lot of data. This might be manual, this might be repetitive data entry, to create quotes, to make orders out of it, to create contracts from it. Everything needs a little bit of different information. And here also with the focus on IT business, these documents, quoting contracts, are quite complex. So it's not super easy to create them, and you need some knowledge and some tools to help you with. Another common thing is with subscription billing, you usually have a high volume of contracts and a high volume of invoices. However, if they are poorly formatted, if they don't look understandable for your end customers, this can increase the support workload a lot, because customers have questions to their invoices, they don't understand them, they don't trust the invoices. So this can create manual work, either because you have to answer all these questions, so your customers pay your invoices, or you have to put in extra effort to make the invoices look better, to add additional information manually, which in the context of subscription billing, where you want to have a high automation because of a high volume, this is really not a good starting point. And also related to a high volume of data and high quantity of contracts, it's just at some point hard to keep track of all of them. You might have a lot of active customer contracts, maybe multiple contracts per customer with different content, and you need to keep track of that. You need to keep track what is the new contract, which one is maybe paused, where do we need to have some feedback from the customer, or where are some questions, which contracts are inactive. So it's really important to keep an overview of this. And these are just general challenges with subscription billing and subscription billing in Microsoft Standard. Now let's have a look on how we can solve these challenges together with the IT Business Toolkit and our DYCE apps. Let's look at the first one, and with each of these little problems, we will have a look on also in a system how they might be solved. So for this first one, how can we solve, or how can we prevent that we need to re-enter data and re-enter and update data when quoting subscription products? For this case, in our IT Business Toolkit, we have a function to import sales quotes or also sales orders from different files, from different CSV files. This can also be used via API import, but typically we will have some files that we want to import. In this case, the example company that we have might have quite a complicated way of calculating the quotes. They need to take a lot of things into consideration. So it's not unusual that customers might use some complex Excel calculation sheets. Maybe you get some calculation sheets from vendors as well, also in Excel format or some other data format. And then instead of retyping all of this information that you already calculated and prepared in Excel, with the IT Business Toolkit, we can import it into Business Central without customization, without any development needed. It's just configurable how we want to do this. So let's have a closer look. Small example that I prepared. This is how a type of quote calculator could look like if you sell something like managed workplaces, managed services. You will have many things to take into account from your customer or from your prospect to then create the perfect quote for them. So there might be some Excel magic going on in your sheets on how you calculate all of this to get the quote that you want, or the sales order that you want. And the only thing that we need from whatever calculation that we have is that in the end, we get a clean table that we can then export to a CSV file. So we have some items, a quantity and a price, maybe even a line discount and a description. So as soon as I get this as a starting point, again, from my own calculation sheets or maybe from things that I get from my vendors, I'm ready to import that into Business Central without needing to develop any custom XML imports or anything like this. This is the example that I created, my quote that I want to have in Business Central. So let's go into the Business Central side of things. Here we are. And I have my calculation sheet ready. Now I want to import it. So I already prepared a new fresh sales quote for my customer Relay Cloud. You can see that it's empty here. It's a new sales quote. So how can I import now whatever files, sheets that I have? We have a little function here which comes from DYCE, which is a calculation import. It uses a data exchange definition. So this is where the magic happens. So we don't need to develop the import. You can use an exchange definition. This can be set up to fit whatever table structure you have. Also possible to have multiple definitions for different import files, for example. I'll pick my file, see where it is. Here's the CSV. And click OK. Import was successful, thank God. We store the imported lines in kind of a buffer table, so they don't enter the sales lines directly. They're buffered for a moment, so I can do some checks. I can also add information here or review things. In this case, thanks to the item number or manufacturer number, in this case, it found all, or the system found all the related items in the system, enter the quantities, enter the prices, and if I don't want to change anything, I'm ready to go and I can just process these lines from this import table. And if everything goes well and if it works, you can have a look, and now we see we have imported all our lines with additional item information. So in this case, I already had some extended item descriptions here. We'll have a look at that in a moment, but I can easily create those lines. I don't need to retype or re-enter any information that I might have in some Excel calculation sheets, or maybe even a CRM system or anywhere else. I can just import it easily. Let's finish the example by just moving along to get our contract. So I'll make an order for my quote. I can ship it and then create my contract. I like going over the info box, also something that comes from the subscription billing. I already see that the customer has one subscription contract, so I can just enter the lines here, or let's create a new one from our customer. For support, and it's a new contract. Let's go. And done. All information, quantities, even prices, and so on, moved along nicely from my quote, from my initial calculation to Business Central, and then I can move it along through standard Microsoft functionality with subscription billing. So now that it's solved, let's have a look at the second example. Regarding invoices itself, subscription invoices, and how can we make them look better? Here, we already saw a little bit of that in a quote, that we have quite a few rich formatting possibilities that we introduced with DYCE, ranging from longer HTML texts for your items, but also just general formatting, creating sums, creating product bundles, hiding lines. So there's a lot of things that you can do, that you can set up in a contract so that all the invoices that are created from this contract will have the nice formatting. And let's compare here how this would look like with a blank Microsoft Standard, and we can compare with a DYCE. So I move into my contract list and I prepared 2 contracts. One would be the design if you just use like vanilla Microsoft Standard. You might have just a bunch of different lines. Again, depending on your business, those contracts can be quite huge. Yeah, they can have dozen of lines. And I prepared an invoice for this. So again, just vanilla Microsoft Standard functionality and a standard Microsoft layout. I don't know if you've seen some of those Microsoft layouts, but this is how an invoice would look like for the contract that we just saw. This is a standard layout from Microsoft. It's okay, but it doesn't have the most efficient layout. Of course, you could do a little bit of adaptation here by making it look a little bit nicer, but there's still a lot of work to do before I would like to send this out to a customer. It's hard to read all the different lines, and I also don't really see which items belong together, for example, or what I want to highlight. So I would say lots of room for improvement. How can we make this invoice for this contract look better if we use DYCE? For this, I move into my second example. So here, I already prepared the contract and just added things that we can do with DYCE. So first thing is we can create bundles or use bundles within a subscription contract. So in this case, the 2 items that kind of belong together, workplace and the mail suits that belong to that, I can bundle them together into one line, and I can do the same with the premium workplaces. And then I can decide, I will have a look how we can do this. So we see the grouping column takes care of this. This can be set up in the item configuration. So I don't need to do this every time I create a contract. So these 2 are bundled for a basic workplace, a premium workplace. And then I can already do some light formatting, like deciding I want to have some bold lines to make it easier to read which information is important. I can decide if I want to print certain lines or I don't want to print them. So in this case, the components, I don't want to show them, so I just tick them off. And yeah, we can also decide to maybe print these 2 bold, so I will just change it. I can also decide to only print the quantity or hide something like a discount. So there are things that I can do without needing to manually edit or even program anything. And another thing that we added, which also comes from IT Business Toolkit, are the extended item descriptions. So I can either enter a manual description here. It's a nice editor or HTML editor, so I can use some formatting here as well. I can use lists to structure the text that I want to have and to give just this additional information to my customer. Let's create the invoice for this together. I will just create an invoice from this contract and say, okay. So now we have the unposted sales invoice. From the items, we got some extended descriptions, and I can hit an invoice preview. So I don't even have to post it to make sure that it looks good. I can already preview it. And then if I like it, I post it and send it to my customer. So let's have a look at how the improved DYCE invoice would look like. Yes, and here's a standard DYCE layout, so no layout customizations or anything. We have, I think, a bit of a more efficient header. It's cleaner. We have header information where we only print the fields if they actually have information, so we don't have this bunch of empty titles or descriptions here. It's all cleaned up. And then we can see the formatting that I did in a contract once will inherit to all the invoices that I create from this contract. So in this case, maybe some bold formatting or my longer subscriptions that I want to have. And also something that we have in a layout just is there automatically. We have position numbers and we have a nice footer that I can also customize without needing to develop. So I would say I don't know customers who use the standard invoice without changing it, but we definitely have customers who use our DYCE layouts the way they are out of the box. Maybe with just some minor changes with the fonts or stuff like this. So they bring you really far without having to invest into this custom development. Okay, and last one, small example. So how can we keep track of all those customer contracts? How can we have a better overview together with the IT Business Toolkit? For this case, what we introduced are the process code and a process status code into the contracts. So I can just use this additional information to classify contracts and to track and also classify the status that a contract might have. It's just additional information that I can later use for filtering, for searching contracts, whatever I want. And again, the way that we did this, I'll go back into my contract here. The way that we implement it is through these process codes, which are completely customizable. So it's just a setup of which processes do I want, maybe a standard contract, maybe I have additional special contracts, which I want to have different processes for. And also the status, the possible statuses that hide behind this process is also just a setup table that I can adapt to my business processes, to my business language, whatever I'm comfortable with, to then use it. So here in this case, I might have active as a status, I might have new, I might have signed, but I can also use something like pause and say, hey, I want to mark this this contract as there's something going on here. I want to keep track of that, or maybe the customer is not paying, or I need to add some special attention to this contract. Then I can use the status code to have this information here. And whatever I do in this case, now I have my active contracts, I have my pause contract. I can use cockpits to show them very prominently on the first page. And again, if I want to know what happened with this contract, so who set which status when was it paused, for example, I also have a status history. So this is all kind of logged in the background, so I can see, okay, my user admin in this case paused the contract on this and this date. So just a bit of additional information to make working with a higher quantity of contracts easier. So to wrap things up, again, solving the challenges and making our users here happy with this usability functionality, which again, I think it's good-looking documents, process status codes, also something that is not just suitable for IT businesses, but really for everyone. This IT Business Toolkit is quite sophisticated. So this was only like a glimpse of what the capabilities it has. We did some counting and added up like about 70 individual small features at different parts of the system. So it really has a lot. I will not go into too much detail here, but just to open that list, that we help with finding informations, making sales documents look better. We have some margin calculation. We have a couple of features specifically for the IT industry, especially if you're in purchasing and reseller in that area. But also managing licenses, which can be interesting for subscriptions again, and a process control at the end. So it's really a Swiss Army knife for any Business Central user to make life easier and to make work with Business Central easier, not just with subscription billing. So to wrap things up, what will you see in this very short coffee break? Yes, subscription billing is great. We created it. I'm very passionate about subscription billing. I always tell customers it's like my favorite part of workshops and of designing new business processes. It is great, but with DYCE, it's even better. So we get more clarity, more automation, more overview, and just better control of the data and the volume that we need to manage with subscription billing. So last but not least, I want to hand over to Anna again.
Perfect. Thank you, Vanessa, for the nice presentation and also showing all these practical insights of the DYCE IT Business Toolkit. And I think Vanessa already said it, the IT Business Toolkit has over 70 features. And yeah, I think you made it clear you definitely would also recommend using the IT Business Toolkit, also not just because of Microsoft subscription billing, but also because of its features itself. And yeah, if you have any more questions about the IT Business Toolkit or even about the Microsoft subscription billing, or then just, yeah, slide in our DMs. You can also just contact our team at ec@singhammer.com. And also, I don't know, if you're a BC partner and you think, oh, IT Business Toolkit could be also interesting for our clients, you can also reach just out to me directly via LinkedIn, via email. And yeah, I'm really happy that we had you here, and I hope you enjoyed, or we hope that you enjoyed the session today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.